Hello friends, Jov here. Welcome to the Test-Driven Development Screencast. In a previous video, we were polishing the sign-up screen, but we didn't manage to complete one important aspect, which is resetting the errors for the bad email and bad password. So the user has a little bad perception when they, for example, have that error, and after they continue typing, the error persists on the screen. So we have to fix that, and the goal of this video is to actually focus on that one. So let's see how that's gonna go. Here, as we can see, I have written down, just not to forget, that we are gonna work on resetting the bad email and the bad password. And I would also like to demonstrate here on the emulator what exactly do I mean, so it's gonna be cleaner and easier to understand what's going on. So basically, if the user now types something and they submit, we have an invalid email format error. But if they continue typing and put something else here in the field, the error still persists. And what's wrong is that, even worse, is that if they have a valid format of the email and they submit, now we show that the password is actually wrong, but we are also not resetting the bad email error as well. So that's something that we need to fix. Luckily, we can actually write UI tests for this, and we are gonna start from there. So we can catch this behavior that we want in the UI test, and then actually make that implementation. So let's open the sign up screen test. And here we have a display bad error email. So basically, we can write a test that will prove that this error is actually not being reset, and then we can work on the actual implementation to fix that. So let's say reset bad email error. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna launch the sign up screen with a sign up test rule, and we're gonna type an email, say email, and then we are gonna submit, so that the error is gonna be present. We can see from the test above, which is passing, we can see that by doing that, by doing these two actions, we have a bad email error being shown already. So what we wanna do is continue typing. We can continue typing, and then we want to verify that the bad email error is not shown. Of course, this function does not exist. Let's create it. Now I'm gonna split the screen as well, just to be more visible what we are doing. We can understand better. So what I wanna do is I wanna search for the bad email. The bad email is gonna be a rule activity get string or string bad email error. So that's the text that we are showing when a bad email, when we have a bad email. So what I want to do is on node with text bad email does not, assert doesn't exist. So that's what I want to check. So now let's go ahead and run all the tests and watch this test fail, so we can see if it fails for the right reason. Maybe it would have been a better idea to run only the only that particular test instead of all of them, but I didn't run them before starting, so I thought, why not just to run all of them and see. So so here we have expected exactly one node, but couldn't find any node that satisfies the text equals email. So basically what's going on is when we try to type email the second time here when you say type email then submit, we are actually showing an error. And when we try to type email, if you take a look here in the function, we are looking for a note with text email, which does not exist, of course. So one way to fix this is what we actually have done for the password field. We can do the same for the email field. So let's first open the sign up screen. So here we have the email field, and similarly, like we have the password field, and for the password field, the way we are getting that as a node, as we can see here, we do on node with tag in the robot instead of on node with text. So we can actually do the same trick for the email. And here I'm gonna say test tag string resource, which is our string email, right? And now here, where when I'm trying to type email, I'll do a node with tag email hint. And now let's run and make sure, again I'm running all tests, and I want to make sure that I didn't break the previous tests, and also that the new test is failing for the right reason. Maybe it would have been nicer if we look at this the emulator as well, so we can see what's going on. So again, all the tests are passing except the new test, and now the new test says did not expect any node but found one node that satisfies invalid email format. So that's actually the reason that I want to see. That's the failure that I want to see. Now let's actually see how we can fix this. So I'm thinking maybe whether to close it or to make it like smaller a bit on the right side, because we are not gonna use it, at least for now, and we are gonna focus here. Let's maybe close it. We'll open it if I need to, so you can see nicely the UI code here. So what we need to do is, let's see what's going on here. So when we tap on the submit, we are calling a function which is called reset UI state. Actually, now I have to split it again so that I can see what's going on the state class. So we have the sign up screen state. So I'm not sure about the name of this one, of this function, but what I want to do here, I want to catch the because when I submit, I don't know whether the email is valid or not. So what I want to do is, when I submit, I want to catch what's the current email, and then when the user continues to type, I will be able to see if that new value matches the old value, and if they match, and if I still have the bad email, then I will present the error. Otherwise, I don't have to present the error. So here, what I'm gonna say is current email is the email. So let's say here I'm gonna have a var. In fact, let's make this private. Because I think I'm gonna access it only here in this class. I don't want to expose it. So current, let's make it private, current email, which is by mutable state, of empty. So that's gonna be my current email. And now the is bad email is telling me when I have received a state bad email. So here, when I receive a state is bad email is being set. So I want to take in consideration is bad email and if the current email matches with the actual value of the field inside. So so that I will be able to make that validation actually. So I'm gonna have a val show bad email boolean, and I'm gonna have its value is gonna be is bad email and the current email is same as the email. And now I think instead of current email, I'm gonna rename this to last submitted email. Now it makes more sense. Now this show bad email, I will be using here instead of for is error, instead of the is bad email, I'm gonna use the show bad email. Let's run the tests and see what we've done. So I think that should work. Yes, now the test is passing, and we can actually prove that also by manually checking, because this is of course UI and the UI is very important. So we want to actually double check. It's okay if you just double check manually. So we have this, I submit, it's a bad email, and then I continue typing. So now it is resetting correctly. And now if I submit, okay, now it says that the invalid email format, again, like after submitting, even though I have the valid format, it still says that it is invalid. So I think that's because here I am not resetting the is bad email. I have to also submit the is bad email on submit. So then everything starts in the next loop of recomposing. Everything starts from scratch. It's interesting that we have to take in consideration this recomposing. Like when some state changes, compose recalls again the function, and it decides what has to be recomposed and what doesn't have to be based on the state. And then it's a little shift in our brain, but I think it's kind of something interesting that like it makes you consider that one. It makes you like think about it. So for example, I type this, submit, it's bad, and I do, I don't know, something valid, and then submit, and now only the password is actually being bad. So that's great. Actually, that's what I want. That's the behavior that I was looking for. And now, oops, that was a jump. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna first check this one in. So what has changed is instead of using the text, we are using tag, and we have here the changes. So let's check this in. Can reset the bad email format error. properly. Right. And now let's do the same for the password, of course. So here is the test. Reset bad email error, display bad password error, and same would be reset bad password error. So let's launch the screen. Sign up test rule. Then I'm gonna type email. Now I have to pass there a valid email because the email is the first thing that is being validated. So I have to have a valid one. So let's say valid email.com. Then type password that is not valid. And then submit. So at this point, as we can see also in the previous test, we are gonna have an error that says that the password is not okay. It's a bad password. And then what I wanna do is type password. So continue typing something like, I don't know, new try, something like that. And then verify that the bad password error is not shown. Let's create that function here. So we're gonna just do the same. Bad password is the rule activity get string r string bad password error, and now a rule on node with tag with text bad password assert does not exist. Pretty much the same. And yeah, run the tests, make sure we have a failing test for the reason we are expecting it to fail. One tip actually when writing and when working with the UI tests is to actually look at what's happening on the screen. Many times I've been caught by having something that I think is happening, and without seeing in the screen, actually that's not really what's happening. For example, you are trying to match on a field that is like, let's say the text is this or that, and then you are trying to match a field with that text or like list item, but for example the keyboard pops out and then that field is not actually present on the screen. So you, for example, have to scroll a little bit before actually matching on a filter, that kind of things, or hide the keyboard, that kind of things. So as a rule of thumb, always look at the emulator or like the actual device if you're testing on device to see what's happening on the screen when the tests are being run. So let's see here. We did not expect any node but found one node. So basically that's what we want. The test does fail for the right reason. And here, actually, it was here. So what we can do is just duplicate the same thing. We are gonna have a last submitted password by mutable state of string, and then we are gonna have a value that's gonna say show bad password, and we are gonna check if is bad password and the last submitted password equals the password, the current password. And of course we have to reset the we have to set the last submitted password. We have to set it to the current password, and we have to reset the is bad password. So what's gonna happen, this function is being called when we press on the button. So what's gonna happen is we're gonna set the current email and the current password. We're gonna match those, like we're gonna set the last submitted email is the actual email, the last submitted password is the actual password, but we are resetting the is bad email and is bad password. Then the view model will delegate the functionality, will delegate the call to the validator, and then the validator will return a result, and that result, if we end up with bad email or bad password, we'll get back to our composable, which is here. And then this when is being called, and then it's gonna see that a bad email is happening, and then it's gonna set again the state, which is causing recomposition. And then instead of like what we are trying to do here is break that loop, because this will recompose and then keep recomposing until we break the loop. So we have to break that loop somehow. That's what we are doing. That's why we need this additional like last submitted email and last submitted password to be able to do that match. And then here instead of is bad password, we are gonna use the show bad password, and I'll run the tests. I hope everything is gonna work now. I mean, all of them will pass. And if that's the case, we are gonna do, just in case, one manual check, and then we are gonna commit that one as well. Great. So we have all 8 tests passing now. And as I said, let's maybe do the manual check as well. So we type something and then submit again. Okay, I don't know why it didn't jump to the password. Yeah, because I don't have a valid password. So now it should be valid, because I have also a special character, number, and then 2 kinds of characters. And now it lets me get to the timeline. Okay, but let's see what was happening with when I have this. Okay, something weird happened the first time. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll catch what was happening later. Maybe I do have a mistake somewhere here. But yeah, I think it's okay. If that's the case, I'll figure that out anyway. So bad password error is not shown. So the changes look fine. Let's check this in, and we're gonna say can reset the bad password format no, sorry, the bad password. It's not a matter of format with the password. The email has a format, so you can reset the bad password error properly. That's great. And now I'm thinking, let's see where we are. So we have completed the sign up screen reset, bad email and bad password errors. And I keep thinking about what happened with that first try on the actual UI. I'm thinking it's not really crucial thing that that's gonna break everything. The functionality is still there, but I think I'll just, if it keeps happening, if it's sort of subtle bug, I'm gonna figure that out later. Switching between UI and background threads in the view model. Consider loading states. So what we want to do is first, we want to introduce UI and background threads in the view model, because now if I open the view model here, everything is happening in the well, there is no basically thread switching. So whatever is calling this function, which is currently the UI thread, everything happens in the UI thread. So now we are calling this sign up on the user repository, but we have all the setup for now in memory, so everything is fine. But I think we have to also introduce, sooner or later we'll have to work on making actual calls, and those are going to be suspending calls. So we'll have to start working on making that asynchronous calls, and that's actually what this thing here is saying. So it's not a big deal what we have to do here. Basically, we just have to make the repository this function, the sign up, actually the user catalog, in fact, the create user, might be a suspending function, and then whoever is implementing the user catalog will have to also make that. So now we have the in-memory user catalog, which is having a valid behavior, and we are going to use the in-memory user catalog to create contract tests. So I think it would make sense if this function, the create user, will be, let's say, suspending, and then work backwards from there, make the functions that are being called suspending, and then eventually make the thread switching here. So we are gonna show, let's say, some loading state, and then do the call, the sign up, and then when we have the result, deliver that back in the UI thread, something like that. But of course, I think that's gonna be a little bit more work than just I don't know, 15 to 20 minutes. I think we are already running half an hour, so I think this is gonna be enough for this episode. I would like to wrap this up, and then I think we can start working on these loading states already in the next episode. And then we'll see. Like, I really want to start working on the timeline, so I'm just thinking whether I should work on the on this loading state or skip it until later. But maybe I'm just thinking to better first complete this one and then continue on the timeline. And of course, about this backend exception, and yeah, those are part of the contract that has to be happening. And then remember the sign up state. I think that's gonna be once we have to start thinking about the backend. So I'm just gonna put them down here. But like, what's next is probably this one and then the timeline. And this is what makes me super excited now. But yeah, I think we are gonna focus on the loading states first. Okay, so I think that's gonna be for this episode. Thank you so much for the time and the attention. I'm gonna catch you in the next episode. Stay safe.